Hi and welcome everyone to another video on my channel. My name is Denis and today I'm going to show you a bench boost team for Game Week 1. Now if you enjoy my content, leave a like, hit that subscribe button, but now let's get into it. Okay, now before talking about my defenders, I just want to share my thoughts a little bit about bench boosting in Game Week 1, and I just want to say this, it's not going to be for everyone, it's not a must to do it, and at the moment, to be honest with you, I haven't decided yet if I want to go that route, but obviously as you may know, this season we're going to have two sets of chips. So what does that mean? We're going to have two bench boosts to use. You're going to need to use one in the first part of the season and the second one in the second part of the season. So you got the idea. Definitely is going to be an interesting strategy, and this is my bench boost team for Game Week 1 at the moment. Let's start with my defense. As you can see, let's start with the goalkeepers. I have Sanchez and Verbruggen. Not a lot to talk here. I think that Sanchez is the best 5 million goalkeeper. I think that the fixtures are great from Chelsea. Now, obviously, if you're bench boosting in Game Week 1, you want to have good players who have good fixtures in Game Week 1, right? That's the main idea. But again, what I maybe didn't mention before, if you're bench boosting in Game Week 1, you can have different strategies. So maybe you want to use your wildcard in Game Week 2. Maybe you want to use your wildcard in Game Week 6, 7. So in that case, your team is going to be different a little bit. Now I tried to make a bench boost team here for you to not be forced to wildcard in Game Week 2, so that's what I tried at least. Sanchez, again, Crystal Palace at home, a really nice fixture. Verbruggen is my second goalkeeper. Playing from Brighton, he's going to play against Fulham at home. I think that he is a great goalkeeper to have on your bench boost. And if we move to the defenders, here we have the Kuiper, Van Dijk, Wan-Bissaka, but please ignore the starting players and the bench players. It doesn't really matter, and I didn't have enough time to put my actual bench boost players on the bench, but I will try to explain it. Now, as you can see from the screen, I have just one 6 million defender and the other ones are 4.5s. Obviously, you can change that. It's not mandatory or something like that. And I'm going to do a little bit of thinkering at the end of the video. So please stay if you want to see that, or you can just skip to that part where we're going to try to change players here and there to see which other combination we can do for Game Week 1. With the Kuiper, I picked here a really attacking defender. Now, if you don't know him, he just transferred into Brighton. Estupinian left, so I think that his minutes are going to be decent, but obviously, guys, we need to see what's going to happen in preseason. What I tried basically to do in this bench boost team, obviously, with the defenders, you're trying for them to have a good chance of getting a clean sheet, playing at home if possible, playing against a weaker side, and playing for a team who is decent defensively. Now, obviously, all those things can't really happen, but as you can see here, I tried to pick some decent defenders here. Now, if we move to the second one, here is Van Dijk, so the 6 million defender. Obviously, here we have a lot of options. You can go for someone like Enyuri, you can go for Gabriel, you can go for Guardiola. So I will try to explain to you why I picked Van Dijk in this case, but at the end of the day, it is really a matter of preferences because, as I said before, there are a lot of options. I really understand if you want to go for Gabriel, if you want to go for Guardiola. So there are pros and cons to everybody. Gabriel is going to play against Manchester United, so I can easily see Arsenal conceding in that game. He's not going to be as good as Virgil van Dijk for defensive contributions. That's my opinion, at least. With Guardiola and Enyuri, they are going to play for Manchester City. So would you be really surprised if someone like Enyuri would not start Game Week 1? I wouldn't, to be honest with you. So obviously there is some risk there. And with Van Dijk, you have that safety that he's going to play 90 minutes for sure. He's playing for Liverpool, so he's playing for a good defensively side. He's playing at home at Anfield against Bournemouth, so the fixture is decent. He's good for bonus points. He's going to be good for defensive contributions, and also he has some goal threat. Today I just saw a clip with him banging goals from free kicks, so he could be even on free kicks. Now, obviously, I think that he's a decent pick. If we move to the other three defenders, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Van de Ven, Milenkovic, all of them are decent defenders with good fixtures. Sunderland away, Burnley at home, Brentford at home. They all could be decent for defensive contributions. There is a chance of getting a clean sheet. Now, obviously, it's not going to happen for everybody. Would you be surprised if Spurs concede against Burnley at home? Considering last season, I wouldn't be. But again, I think that these are decent options in defense. And for Game Week 1 bench boost, I think that it is great. Moving forward, let's talk a little bit about my midfield. As you can see from the screen, Jae, Palmer, Rogers, Salah, Adingra. Now, let's start with Mohamed Salah because I think that there is a discussion here. I've gone with him on this draft because it is a safe pick. He's going to be a great captaincy option against Bournemouth at home, and I suppose not a lot of people are going to want to go without him. We know that he was the top scorer player last season in FPL. He was huge last season, but with what is happening in the transfer market at the moment, in the next few weeks, I think that we could make a case to go without Mohamed Salah, especially if you're bench boosting in game week 1. I think that if you want a wildcard early after the bench boost, then you can buy Mohamed Salah back. So I think that you can make a case here. Again, if Isak is going to go to Liverpool, that's going to diminish maybe Mohamed Salah appeal a little bit. Gyökeres just signed for Arsenal, so we need to see what's going to happen in the transfer market before we make any decisions. But at the moment, he is in my draft. As I said before, we're going to do a little bit of thinkering, and I'm going to show you another draft without Mohamed Salah to see what we can do. And again, if you want to go for someone like Erling Haaland without Mohamed Salah, that's perfectly fine. If you want to go for both of them, that's great. But if you're bench boosting in game week 1, I think that you should take a little bit of a risk and try to not go at least with both of them. Now, as a pick, I don't need to discuss too much about him. He's great, he's on penalties, he always scores in the first game week of the season, so go without Mohamed Salah at your own peril. Now let's talk a little bit about the others. So Njaya is going to be a really popular pick. He's going to play against Leeds. His underlying stats are not amazing, but he's really taking his chances. So he's playing for Everton. Again, he's on penalties. That's why I think that for game week 1 bench boost, he's a great pick at just 6.5 millions. With Cole Palmer, again, you can go with someone like Bukayo Saka, but we're going to discuss about that in a minute. The fixture is decent against Crystal Palace at home. Palmer is back in form. He's going to be on penalties, on all the set pieces, you know, all the stuff. So I think that he's a great player. But obviously, if you want to go for someone like Wirtz or someone like Bukayo Saka, that's perfectly fine. With Rodgers, I'm not so sure at the moment because I'm not so sure how worth it is the price, 7 millions for him, but what you get with Rodgers is a nail player who's going to play 90 minutes every game week. We know that he's a fitness monster from last season, and when Aston Villa are scoring, pretty much you're expecting Rodgers or Watkins to be involved. Let's see if Watkins is going to stay at Aston Villa. Maybe Rodgers could be on penalties, who knows, but I think that he's going to be a decent option this season. Now, I'm not so sure for game week 1, but I still included him in my game week because he's going to play against Newcastle at home, so that's not an amazing fixture, but for an attacker, I think that it is okay. And my last midfielder is Adingra. Obviously, he's a player from Sunderland, so ignore his t-shirt. He's not a Brighton player anymore, but yeah, the fixtures are decent. For him, he's a really cheap enabler. Now, obviously, here again, you could go for maybe a more DEFCON player like Caicedo, Anderson, Christie, someone like that if you really need the cash, but at 5.5 millions, I think that he could be great value, and the fixtures is decent against West Ham at home, and I think that is going to be a nice differential for game week 1. Please let me know about your opinion in the comments down below, but at the moment, let's see the full team. Now, as you see the full team, maybe you understand why I said at the beginning, try to ignore the bench, because that's not the bench boost. Obviously, if we try to put our best players in our starting 11, the bench boost for game week 1 would look something like Verbruggen, Van de Ven, Milenkovic and Welbeck. So Wood definitely would be in the starting 11, but if we talk a little bit about the forwards, here we have Solanke, Welbeck and Wood. So 3 players who are most likely going to be on penalties in the attack. I really like that, I'm not going to lie, but what I don't really like about this forward line, and especially about this game week 1 bench boost draft, is that you don't have a really expensive forward. So if you don't want to use your wildcard right away after the bench boost, it's going to be tough for you to buy someone like Gyökeres, maybe someone like Etikite, maybe someone like Isak if you want to. So again, if you want to start with a 9 million attacker or something like that for game week 1, I think that Watkins is going to be the one for you. But if you don't take that into consideration, I really like this forward line, to be honest with you. As I said before, Solanke, Welbeck, Wood, these 3 players are all probably going to be on penalties. All of them are playing close to 90 minutes every game week, and all of them are playing at home with good fixtures against Burnley, Fulham and Brentford. So I really like this team overall. Please let me know about your opinion in the comments down below. But now let's try to do a little bit of thinkering to see what we can change here and there. Okay, now as I said before, we're going to try to do a little bit of thinkering to see what we can change here and there to make our bench boost game week 1 squads better, and we're going to do that on this app. As you can see from the screen, it's Fantasy Football Hub. You can have your team rated for free. Here also you can join with the link in my description. There is a big discount at the moment, and here you're going to find a lot of tools which are going to help you a lot in FPL. Now, instead of Milenkovic, you can easily have an Everton defender if you want, Braithwaite, or Tarkovsky. Probably Tarkovsky because it's going to be amazing for defensive contributions. But again, with the defense, I'm pretty much fine. What I want to discuss a little bit, as I said before, I would really love to have a 9 million forward, something like that. So if we sell someone like, for an example, Wood to someone like Watkins, let's pretend. If we go to all players, I will need to find 1.5 millions in the bank to do that. Obviously, we can do that by selling Mohamed Salah. We can do that by selling Palmer. Let's, for an example, say we're going to sell Palmer and we want a midfielder priced at 9 million. So probably which one I really like at the moment is Wirtz from Liverpool. The fixtures is great against Bournemouth. They are going to be without Kerkez, without Zabarni, probably without Huijsen. So their defense is not going to be the same this season, I suppose. So that's what you can do. You can upgrade also another defender if you want. I have 0.5 millions in the bank. If we look at the midfielders at the moment, Bukayo Saka could be an interesting one if you're not planning to use your wild card really fast. Arsenal are going to play against Leeds in game week 2, so that's going to be a great fixture for someone like Bukayo Saka. Now, obviously, because they just signed Gyökeres at the moment, it's looking like he's going to be on penalties. So that's not good news for Bukayo Saka, but I'm still expecting him to be a decent player. What you can change here, obviously, if we take a look at the forwards, for an example, for forwards, let's say under 9 millions or something like that, you have Raul Jimenez from Fulham, you have Wissa, but probably Wissa is not going to be a Brentford player. This season we have Ekitike, the new forward from Liverpool, but you're not going to be sure if he's going to play 90 minutes every game week. We have João Pedro, who could be a great option if we know that he's going to start. Bowen, again, another forward who could be a nice option. Evan Nilsson is going to play against Liverpool in game week 1, so I don't think that is an option if you want a bench boost in game week 1, obviously. And after that you have Fleming if you really need cash, Strand Larsen, but again, he's playing against Manchester City, so you don't have a lot of players. Mateta is really expensive, 7.5 millions, and also playing against Chelsea. Mayenda, Piroe, Beto from Everton, again, could be a nice option at that price, 5.5 millions, but there aren't a lot of good options. Again, I really like this front line. What I like about having Watkins is, for an example, if someone like Gyökeres is going to bang a lot of goals and assists in the first game week of the season, and if you're not planning to use your wildcard early on, then you can easily switch from Watkins to Gyökeres in game week 3, 4, 5 or whatever. Now again, if you don't like Rodgers, let's take a look at the other midfielders we can have. At that price, under 7 million, let's say, you can have someone like Sarr, who is a nice option, but again, not for game week 1. Maybe Semenyo playing against Liverpool, not great. Rice could be decent, but again, against Manchester United. Minte could be an option, but I already have 3 players from Brighton. Enzo Fernandez, he could be a decent one, but I think that there are more explosive ones. Schade could be an option. Yeah, I don't really like these options. Anderson, obviously, if you really like defensive contributions. Mitoma, Caicedo, Tielemans could be on penalties maybe. So again, someone like Eze at 7.5 millions I think could be another option. If you want to go without Mohamed Salah, obviously you're going to free up a lot of cash, so you can upgrade your defense if you want. Maybe you don't want to go without Gabriel if I can find him. So again, I will have 1.5 millions here. You can upgrade another defender, so you can have 6 million defenders. You can upgrade your goalkeeper if you want a wild card early on, because I don't think that you should have 2 really expensive goalkeepers or a too expensive backline. But again, with the new defensive contribution metric, players like Gabriel, Virgil van Dijk, Guardiol are going to be great, obviously. Now again, if you want to go for someone like Haaland, although at the moment I just think that he's a little bit too expensive for me. Obviously, you can do that. So let's have here a Fulham defender like Anderson, because I think that he could be also a decent option. Now, obviously, you need to save a little bit more if you want to be able to buy someone like Haaland. Now, again, someone like Minte, you can downgrade someone like Solanke. As I said before, you could go for someone like Strand Larsen, although the fixture is not amazing in game week 1, so probably I wouldn't go for him. Now again, someone like Raul Jimenez could be an option. and you need to find out also 2 millions. Now again, it's not going to be easy to have all these players and also Haaland. Now with this setup, you're going to have Wirtz, Haaland and Bukayo Saka in your first 11 obviously. So again, it really depends whatever you want to do. But again, thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and thank you so much for listening to me that much. If you enjoy my content, please consider leaving a like, hit that subscribe button if you're new around here, and I'm going to see you next time. Bye.